Okay, so let's have some water. And the recording is going. Oh, just out of curiosity, let's take a look at the colors.
Yeah, balanced today.
Amanda?
I would say red and yellow.
Okay. Well, I was red this morning. So and I'll give you my yellow.
Good.
So let's just to get ourselves focused, do our brain buttons with some eye movement. And when you switch to the other side, okay, I'm going to just suggest, Patsy, if you can drop your chin a little. Can you just drop your chin? It may be partly the angle of your screen, but it looks to me like there's a little
tension. Okay.
opening in the back, tension there. So on the other side, let's do the thing where we focus our eyes on one point and do the lazy 8 or the tracking. You could just do tracking up and down and tracking side to side if you don't want to do the circular movement. So now we're kind of exercising that occipital joint and also the joint of the first and second vertebra. Just loosening that up a little bit. And it doesn't have to be a big movement. Keeping the eyes focused in one point, like maybe, you know, just looking at your head on the screen. Just to really feel only that connection of our head balanced on the top of the spine. Maybe even just like a little wobbly. There used to be these dolls, these Japanese dolls that had a wobbly head on them. So I'm going to talk a little bit today because I'm starting to explore some more of the body-mind centering work. And in this work, Bonnie Bainbridge-Collins relates our movement to our embryology and how that, and especially as we get older, and in her experience, she feels that aging is largely a matter of dehydration. I mean, we get to feeling stiffer, and the fascia isn't allowing us to move so freely. And she really believes that that is a process of dehydration. So, what I think is fantastic about body-mind centering is that one of the central ideas is that we grew our body. Our genes have the blueprint for our whole being. And we grew our body from two cells coming together. And we have that cellular memory inside of us. And if we can connect with that cellular memory, we can then heal what has gone on since then. So I'm no expert at this, but it's something that gives me a sense of empowerment to know that knowledge is inside my body.
Mhm.
Our culture, the Western culture, is really about knowledge coming from the outside and taking it in.
Mhm.
And Bonnie's life work has been to, she reads all the latest research and everything, but she talks about both of us. We did that earlier on, Tees and I. We look at the skeleton to get the outside knowledge, and then we do movement to find it from within. That's been her process, but really the key often being to connect to the inside learning. And so the idea I thought I'd explore today is that relation between the top of the head and the perineum. So we've often talked about the connection of tail to the top of the head, and that's the bones physiologically. But when we connect from the tail, like the back of our spine, what we can feel is on the back of the body. That's not the center. The center is what was embryologically called our notochord. And the spine eventually grew around that because the spine is very thick. So the center of our body is not the spine. That's on the back body. And embryologically, our body develops. We have a back body and a front body like this. And they start growing. And then the middle body that becomes our organs emerges from the back body, is formed from cells of the back body and the front body migrating down and coming up through the middle. That forms first the notochord, and then we get the spine and the heart and everything that fills the middle of the body. And a basic principle that she teaches is that the back body provides the form and the front body provides the flow. So we've worked with the flowing movement you can feel of the organs moving around. And we've looked at our posture and alignment from the spine, and that's what we're really doing, finding the form from the back body and the flow from the front body. But now I watched some from her, and I want to deal with this kind of more subtle thing and actually finding this energy pole. We talk about the Tai Chi pole, embryological, from the perineum up through the G20, kind of exploring it embryologically, because that channel was actually how the cells from the perineum created. There was an original, and I forgot, a kind of what is the word? Anyway, the cells creating a stem up the center, and it forms a knot, and the notochord grows out of that, and the stem goes back down and becomes the perineum, and then the notochord goes up to the pineal gland. So internally, we have the pineal gland behind the nose and the perineum, which is now sometimes called the tendon of the pelvic diaphragm. So last week, we worked with this diamond, the two sits bones, the pubis, and the coccyx, the tailbone. So in the center of that is the perineum, which came from the descent of this stem of the knot or node that grew the notochord, which eventually became if I remember correctly, became the central nerve that's in the middle of our spine. What do we call it? All the word that comes to me is the spine, but the central nerve that goes down through the spine and then feeds everything else. So, let's just start with a little bit of the rocking we did last week to feel that diamond again. And then I want to work with finding the perineum and the energy coming up through the center. So maybe start rocking from side to side, feeling some weight going from one sits bone to the other. And then let's take a little bit of rocking forward and back in our sits bones. So we're not rolling onto our tailbone or rolling all the way over onto our pubis, but just feeling that forward, backward axis. So we've got two of our three dimensions working there. And now let's take circular rocking, finding the circle all around those 4 points. And maybe starting to sense that right in the center of that circular movement is our perineum. And pausing and working in the other direction, moving in the other direction. You don't have to work, you just move. So I would like us to move down to the floor because I think it'll be easier to explore this on the floor. So find a position that you're comfortable in. It might, if you can use this position, one leg straight, one leg bent, we can kind of explore those two movements again. So rocking forward, I'll let you get set up. If anybody finds this position too difficult, just say, this isn't going to work. And we'll find another way.
Yeah, sort of. Okay, go on.
So this can be, this exploration doesn't depend on great range of motion. It could be absolutely simply a micro movement. In other words, just teeny tiny.
Yeah.
But just rocking forward to find out your own limits right now. We're not trying to stretch. We'll increase some, we'll find hopefully some more flexibility in our fascia, but this is not about stretching. It's exploring the back body, the front body, and what happens when they come together. And I like this idea, form and flow. So if we are slightly rocked forward to our limit, and then if you think of the back body, so feel your back body, draw your awareness there. And then sensing the possibility of cells migrating, because apparently they do this, our stem cells migrate through our body, develop, all through our lives. Imagine them coming down the back body and moving into the center between the back body and the front body at the perineum and starting to rise up that stem up, coming up through the center of the body and feeling how the back body cells, the energy of them creates form, creates structure. And maybe you can imagine that stem growing all the way from the perineum up, and then the energy descending back down to the perineum as it continues to grow up all the way to the pineal behind your nose. So you have that very ancient first growth that will eventually become our spine. The spinal cord, that's the word I was looking for, spinal cord. Not the bone spine, but the spinal cord. Now, notice what happens. Let's do the same thing on the front of the body. Draw your attention to the front of your body. And imagine some of those cells descending around to come and form the middle of the body. Because I should have said one thing first. Notice as you feel the form, and if you're really focused on the back body cells coming up and giving you form, there's really no movement here. So now with the cells of the front body coming down and giving their energy and life to the middle body, notice what happens if there's maybe a little bit more movement, a little more flexibility. So not pushing yourself towards the floor, just feeling a sense of flow added to the structure. And we're not dropping our head over, we're keeping the head on the spine, we're keeping our form, but allowing some flow. The front body adds that sense of softness and movability, I call it. And breathing. So it's your own noticing. I actually noticed I gained some range of motion. Not big, but just a little bit that I didn't have there. And I wasn't straining to stretch like I've been taught to do sometimes. So the next thing I'd like us to explore is just moving to the side. Again, if you want to take your arm over like we've done sometimes, you can take your arm over and see where that goes. We've done a lot of opening up of this on the floor, lying on the floor, or without it. And just notice what it's like to do a little bit of a side bend. Having the leg straight out there helps give us some support for a side bend. Opening one side of the body as the other side curves around. And notice what that range is. And now again, draw your attention, your awareness to the back body. And those cells migrating down around through the perineum up to the center. And then the notochord expanding down toward the perineum and up, out through the pineal gland. And you feel the form. I feel a broadening in my back as well. I feel the structure of the position. And then drawing attention to the front body and allowing those cells to migrate around and add their flow, coming all the way up the Tai Chi pole. And I gain some movement. So we could spend a lot of time playing with these two different aspects. The back body providing the form and the front body providing the flow. And coming back out to the center. And let's switch to the other side. So if you like, let's try the forward again in this kind of different position. Find out where your forward angle is, however small. And then awareness of the back body, of the cells that originally migrated down the back and up through the center. And I've often used used my elastic band to show the idea of lengthening from both sides. I was just amazed to know that actually this stem comes up, whatever they call it, that ends in the knot or the node, and then it descends as the notochord grows up. So we have that within our body memory, that growth in two directions that we could call a movement head-tail connection, but actually growing up through the center and giving us first that form and find out that length out through the top of the head. Breathing without trying to stretch, just allowing some forward motion. But then to really get the motion, we're going to draw our attention to our front body and allowing our cells to remember that migration down, or that pattern that cells had of migrating down the front body up through the middle of the perineum, the middle of that circle that we found of the pelvic diaphragm, and coming up, and then again lengthening down into the perineum and up into the pineal. And how that can give us flow without totally losing the form. So we're not going to let our head drop over like a flop, like a flower that's that's been in water, a cut flower that's been in water, and then the stem just lets go. No, we have energy. We haven't lost the life. The energy is still going up out the top of the head, but there's movement. There's a possibility of moving and flexibility. So you can maybe see I've gotten a lot further than the first time that I did. I see some movement forward from Ruth, it looks like to me as well. And then if we come back up to the center and take a side bend, with or without the arm as you like. And again, gluing in to the back body, remembering the migration of those cells down and then coming up through the center between the back and the front. Like they have to enter the space between the back and the front body to create the space, to create the depth of our body. And feeling that form that the back body provides. And then remembering the migration of the cells from the front body, again, down to the bottom where they can enter into the space between the front and the back body and create more space there. And start to get some flow into our body, some movement. And I really feel in my body that sense of a curve. And it just naturally goes out to the top of my head. My head isn't like hanging there like a dying flower. So I'll wait to come to the, I don't know if you can talk loud enough. What did anybody notice?
How stiff I am.
Okay.
Yeah, my legs won't fold like that. So
Okay.
I've had to do 2 straight legs, and my knees are killing me, and my hips
Okay.
killing me.
Okay. Well, we'll get out of this position. Anybody else have anything they noticed that you'd like to share?
I've been teaching all day, movement all day, so I'm fine. Sorry.
Well, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find any difference in the movement in your body when you combined the back and the front body together? Was that different from what you normally experience?
I'm not sure that I did, to be honest.
Okay, good. We'll maybe work. I'll do some experimentation of finding those differences.
Yeah.
Let us go down to our backs into constructive rest, allowing some relaxation for those of you who might have found that somewhat painful.
Yeah. Oh God.
So just allow the earth, we can just allow the earth to accept the weight of our bodies. And accept the support of the earth. So we don't have to hold or work anymore. And let's take some mini rotations of our head. So we were working with flexion, basically flexion forward and back. So now we're dealing with rotation of the head, rolling the back of the head on the floor. Hopefully keeping the length of that noddle cord up through the center of our body. So maybe pause for a moment. As you're allowing the earth to support you, can you now remember that energetic Tai Chi pole? Maybe we'll call it a Tai Chi cord, because a pole we think of as being something solid and rigid. And we combine the front and back body, so we don't want an image that's rigid. Instead, the idea maybe of a cord that can be flexible, but can also be extended. So that cord stretching from our perineum all the way up to the pineal. Because originally that's how far it went. Energetically, it can extend to infinity, if you like. But maybe focus today on that
forward from the perineum to the pineal as we're lying here. And we're going to do what we've been doing. We're going to do our arm circles with a focus on that notochord as we move. What's happening with that notochord? So let's allow our knees to drop over to the right side and keep that awareness of the notochord. So now it's got a rotation in it bit. So feeling that rotation that's kind of twisting, the perineum is twisted over toward one side. And then we're going to energize the fingertips of our left hand, because remember, it's the cells in the fingertips that caused our arms to grow from the center of our body in the first place. And our fingertips are going to start tracing a circle on the floor up toward the diagonal, and then up over the top of the head. The palm turns over. And let's just pause here. Release anything that we can. Just let it go. So we're lying on our side, Okay, the form, the back body, the flow of the front body, and that flow is going to continue as the fingertips reach over to the right side with the flow of the front body releasing into the earth. And the fingers reaching as far as you can beyond the fingers of the right hand. And we take a nice exhalation, releasing everything we can. Feeling the energy of the notochord up through the center. And then the hand continues to flow around to the knee and the knee. Nice deep exhalation. And then the palm turns over and the fingers fit, or let's just say extend on that arc. They reach the floor again and stretch way out to the left side and continue up to the diagonal. And a nice exhalation here. Noticing the form of our body, but also the flow. And then reversing the circle. Fingertips tracing that arc, as large an arc as we can make. To the thighs, the palm turns over to brush our thighs. And then continues that arc around beyond the right side of our body. Pausing again, reaching out horizontally beyond the right fingertip. Can you let go of any tension? Allowing the combination of the form and the flow contributing to a middle body. Fingers reaching out in a circle up over to the top of our head. Rolling back to a side body. Feeling the legs from the perineum all the way up to the pineal gland. That central energy enlivening our body, combining form and flow, and then continuing to reach over onto the diagonal. Maybe allowing our head to roll over toward our left arm, rolling over toward the left side Nice deep exhalation. And allow the left arm to reach out to the side opposite the right arm in the T. Roll the head back to center as the left hip reaches down to the floor. The knees come up, and we'll pause here for a moment in this neutral position. Readjust yourself if you need to. Relax. And allow the mountains to fall over to the left. And reach the right fingers up on the diagonal. Feel that diagonal. Feel the fingertips reaching up over the top of the head. And the palm turns over as we roll onto our left side. And we'll pause there for a moment. And let's notice the back body and the front body migrating down to the perineum, up towards the pineal. Releasing the external and keeping the flow and form from the inside in the mid body. And then starting the hand, reaching in that arc around beyond the left fingers. Lower, outward. And then down, facing the center, a circle toward the knees. And then when the palm reaches your thighs, turning the palm over and start to reach out to the right, up on the diagonal, and exhale any extra tension away. And then start the arm downwards towards the feet, reaching as far out into space along the floor as you can. And as the hand turns over, it brushes the thigh and reaches out in an arc beyond the fingers of the left hand. We'll pause for a moment here. Feeling the softness of the front body and the middle body, allowing us to move around, keeping the form. And bring the fingertips up, around, over the head. And we roll slightly back onto our side body. And just feeling as we're on our side, there's no side body, I just meant on our side. So now we have a front body and a back body with the middle body sandwiched in between like an Oreo cookie. Or whatever kind of filled cookies you have in you. And then turn the palm to face the ceiling and reach down on the diagonal one last time. Is there any more ease, perhaps? Feeling the length from the fingertips to your right knee. And then bring the, we did also rolling the head over as if you're going to look at your right armpit. Just as far as you can go with ease. Looking toward that diagonal. And then reaching the arm back down to the horizontal as the head rolls back and the hips come back down to center. And there we are. And let's lift our, fold our left thigh towards our chest. Holding it. Placing your hands around the knee and letting the weight of the hand Draw the knee toward the chest a little bit. As much as you can, and then slide the right foot along the floor, reaching the heel out, reaching long, feeling the length. And then slide the heel back up, drop the left foot to the floor, hands are on the right knee, embracing your right knee, and letting the weight pull it slightly more into flexion, and slide the left foot along the floor, reach the heel out along the space, feel the length between the left heel and the right knee. Remembering, let's draw our attention to the back of our neck, making sure that we haven't lifted our chin as we did this. Allow the neck to be long. Drop the chin, even as you stretch. Then slide the left foot up and drop both feet down. Hold the left thigh in again, slide the foot longer on the floor. Press the heel away from you and allow it to continue in an arc up toward the ceiling. Reach that heel to the ceiling and feel the back of the pelvis sink into the floor at the same time, creating that same kind of length. And then lengthen the heel to the ground as the back of the neck is stretched long. And slide the foot up and drop it to the floor. On the right side, fold the thigh to the chest, drop the foot to the floor and slide the heel away from you, pressing the heel long and out in an arc up toward the ceiling. Feel the length from the heel to the pelvis sinking to the floor, and then keeping that feeling. Lower the heel to the floor as you lengthen the back of the neck on the floor. Slide the foot up and drop it. Roll onto the side of your choice. And then side sitting, pressing your palms into the floor to come up into the cat-cow position. And again, we'll be the cat-cow position, feeling the synthesis of form and function in a middle body. So lengthening, maybe think of the perineum and the pineal, looking down towards the floor as this back body reaches up to the ceiling, supported by the middle body. And then opposite, allow the whole front body to reach for the floor while the pineal and the perineum reach more toward the ceiling, feeling the middle body in a beautiful curve, and then alternate. Exhale, camel, inhale, cat, exhale, camel, inhale, cat. Middle body moving us with form and function, form and flow combined. And then let us tuck our toes under. Press our tail up toward the ceiling. Reach the head long. Feel again the length with the perineum reaching up and backwards, and the pineal forward and down. Do some treads. This is the cross curls I do now in class rather than standing. So pressing the right heel into the floor and the left palm into the floor, pressing the right palm into the floor and the left heel, right heel, left palm, left heel, right palm, right heel, left palm, left heel, right palm. And then walking forward with the feet. Back with the hands. Rolling up by pointing the perineum down between the legs. And the flow of the middle body is flowing up to align us in a vertical line. And our pineal gland is now centered over the top of the perineum. Back body, front body, middle body. And we're talking about our torso really in that, because that develops before our leg buds and our arm buds create our arms and legs. So our first two limbs really are our head. It's our evolutionary snake and fish and all those kind of creatures. Okay, so here we are up to standing. Let's have some water. I'll see if I can get this where you can see me. And we're going to do our brain buttons again. And as we do our brain buttons, we've often talked about the support, the energy from the kidney meridian coming up to our brain buttons. But this time, let's focus instead on the energy from our perineum coming up to our pineal gland as we do our brain buttons. And then keeping our eyes focused, you can do the lazy 8s or just the tracking of the head, keeping the eyes focused in the same place. So if we're circling with our nose, it could just be a circle or a lazy 8. We're drawing our nose, and behind our nose, we have our pineal gland at the top of that notochord. And circling in another direction. Let's take, okay, so relaxing the hands. Let's just take a slightly wider stance now and do the figure that we've done coming around, but focusing not so much now on the transfer of the transfer of the weights happening that we've worked on, but now think of the movement of the perineum, how the pressing of the feet from one side to the other. Let's see perineum right in the center of that diamond is doing the movement. See if you can sense that. And then sensing your back body again. And the cells remembering of traveling down the back body, around and up through the center between the back, the space between the back and the front body to create the notochord, which becomes our spinal cord. And then add to that sense the front body, the cells of the front body moving down so that they can come up the space between the front and back body and add a sense of flow as we do this flowing movement.
And even as we rotate here, as we will do in our, we'll do a little bit of Qigong, we have the form of our back body and the flow of our front body, allowing us to rotate around our nautical. So I don't know, you might find a little bit different feeling to this with that awareness. Okay, we'll do a bit of Qigong. Starting shoulders up, inhale. Exhale, shoulders slide down the back. Arms reach out into space. Thumb up. And palms press down. And we'll go right into the first movement. So we have that, we're sliding up and down around our notochord, like the perineum moving down, the pineal moving up. Feeling that central energy channel. Our arms come up to our sternum, open, and gather in. So our limbs are supported by the front body and the back body and the mid body there. And I will look up before next time which body the arms grow from, like the cells, which fingertips gathering in, spreading out. And then reach to the side with your foot and come up over the top. And here we are. So we did this movement on the floor in a static pose. We did the shape. So now you can just allow it to flow and move, form and flow. Bring the feet back together. Here's a chance to really focus on that connection and that lengthening downward to the perineum, upward to the pineal, and then up, out through the top of G20 to infinity, and down between the legs into the earth, creating the Chinese concept of the Tai Chi cord or axis. Now, as we move into the next movement, can you feel the front and the back bodies rotating around the middle body, around the notochord, up through the center? So again, not the spine on our back side, but from the actual center, the spinal cord, which is toward the front of the vertebra. Arms come together. Circle. Up and over. Open. So opening the back body. Opening the front body. Keeping the head on the spine, so there's a gentle curve there, but we're not just dropping the head over. This is something new for me a bit. So it's not like, the flower that's died in the vase and is drooping over completely. It's all part of one long curve. And then reaching out to one side and then to the other. Does this feel any different with that sense of the front body and the back body, with the middle body combining form and flow? Reach out to look the moon. And then pushing palms. So how does the back body give you the form as you press the palm? And how does the front body help to create the flow? Or how does the middle body create the movement by combining both the form and the flow? And then lastly, we have looking in the mirror. Arms come down. Arms turn up. Reaching around. Bringing the energy in. Again, palms open. Fingertips reach around to enclose. Big kinesphere. One last time. So I would just like to hear if have any observations. Patsy.
I'd like to hear you say the words notophore or notochord.
Oh, notochord. So I think it's NOTOCHORD. Notochord. And sometimes I think noto comes from the idea of a node.
Yes.
And it's also sometimes instead of node, they use the word knot, like KNOT. And it's sort of the idea, as I understand it, I'll do some more research, but the idea of the, if you have I should have gotten 2 pieces of color paper. If you have the back body and the front body, and then the cells migrating down into the space in between, and it comes up to form a knot. And then out of that knot, then it grows, the knot descends to form the perineum. And from the other end, the notochord grows up, which eventually becomes the spine, if I remember correctly.
Well, thank you.
And also, I didn't bring Philip out today, but our vertebra are quite deep from front to back. But what we feel are just the spines of the vertebrae. But the actual spinal column or spinal cord, goes down much more toward the front of the vertebra. So our spinal cord is not back here where we feel our spine, because I'll get a picture to show, or we'll look on him. The spine is quite deep from front to back.
Thank you.
Any other noticing or questions?
I just find it very difficult to to do the imaging. Or I'm sure we'll get used to it, but it's that concentrating on the back and I can see you doing it, but I'm aware that I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's still all one big lump.
Uh-huh.
So I'm finding it really hard to isolate the front, the back, the middle. Everything moves as one with me, and I wish I could do it, but I'm finding it really hard.
Well, I would say 2 things. It's the idea of integration comes from differentiation. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah.
So to truly integrate things, they have to be differentiated first.
Yeah, I appreciate the merit in it. It's just I can't do it.
And the other thing is, I remember Bonnie Brainbridge Cohen saying this when I worked with her. She'd have us do something and she'd say, it's a practice.
Yeah.
I did this for 6 months or I did this for several years and finally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll come with time, but doing it for time, it was, I can't see this difference and I'm not feeling anything. Everything's moving as one.
And part of it for me was letting go of that idea that, oh my God, I don't think I feel this. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to feel. I can't feel it. Of just letting the imagery be there and just saying that, just feeling, okay, it's possible. And letting because it's cellular memory, like it's nothing up here that we can think.
Right.
So it's just I think just doing it,
Okay.
just letting it be as much as it is. And it's still hard for me to, everybody who I've learned this work from, and not many people, but several people, all talk about the value of micro movements.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not a great person to demonstrate that or do that. I'm really working on it now because I've always been a big mover that likes to do everything to the fullest extent that I can.
Yeah. Same here.
And I mean, as a dancer, in a way, that's part of it, and it's useful. But for this level of awareness and work, and for working with our nervous system, micro movements can be actually, I don't know what the word is, but micro movements can have a very big effect, more than doing a big movement. Sometimes just finding a micro movement can have a very deep effect on the nervous system because it's of the level it's working at.
Okay.
How are you doing, Amanda?
Good, thank you. Maybe it helps me. I kind of feel I am kind of moving in different parts because I've been teaching, as I said, movement all day, Pilates. So I'm warm and been moving and had been talking to other people about moving different body parts and all the rest of it. So,
well, we'll keep exploring. I mean, I think it would be interesting to do Pilates with which I haven't done for years and years and years. But and it was probably very different then. Do it with this sense of how the form and flow come together through the middle body.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Fascinating. Just I couldn't do it. Well, I didn't feel I was doing it, but maybe I was. Who knows?
Well, I'll get I think I've got it sorted out with this computer, which how to do this. So you should get the I should be able to get this video downloaded and uploaded today. So